Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It's Monday Night War here. My name is George Morgan. I'm your host with the most here, the commentator for tonight's action. We are at the Earl Grey of World Motorsport. It's Silverstone for round 6 of the Xbox Tier 1 here in WOR. I'm joined by my co-commentator, Miles. Miles, how are you?
I'm doing great, George. Great to be back as well, and especially for a place like Silverstone. Just can't wait.
It's going to be brilliant. Obviously, lots of things to look forward to, everything to look forward to at Silverstone. And as you can imagine, the variants of corners, the sectors are absolutely bliss. We are at this 150,000 capacity track. And I've got to say, the racing never ceases to amaze us. Maggots and Beckett heading out of Chapel, down towards Stowe. There's never a more beautiful scene, is there?
Not really, if you ask me. One of the most iconic sequences of corners, followed by the Hanger Straight and then into Stowe. I mean, I think the heartbeat of every F1 fan or motorsport fan is just beating a bit fast if you're naming those corners. And just can't wait what the drivers can do and how they will throw their cars into these sequences of corners.
Absolutely, yeah. We do apologise for the overlay, folks. For some reason, it is saved as France. We'll have to look at that at some point. Obviously, we are here at Silverstone, and we will aim to fix this as soon as possible. But, folks, of course, we're looking forward to the racing action here tonight. Miles, any key names that we need to look out for as we head into this race this evening?
I mean, Sergio Lat won the last race in France, so he's probably one to look out for. And there is some rain already coming down, and drivers are out on track, though, George. So whoever will be finishing his lap first, and that is Sergio Lat, followed by his teammate LVR Brown. They had a very, very good start into the French Grand Prix last week, until the time when Brown's wheel disconnected, unfortunately. But they're in a very, very good position here, especially for qualifying. So if you're out on track right now and able to set a lap time as early as possible, you are in a very, very good position. That's the case for Lutz and for his teammate Brown. But also, I mean, Antoine got a second place at his home Grand Prix. Limitless had that puncture. Jonas was in the mix as well. So those guys are surely the guys we have to look out for.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you can see, our graphics are now back to normal, folks. We are at Britain and Chile. You're absolutely right. France is close enough to Britain, only just across the English Channel. You're absolutely right, Chile. And a nice bit of geography lesson for all of those who didn't know where France was or indeed the UK is. But look at that, Nathan Cook. Look, I'm famous. Yes, Nathan, you are famous indeed. That's for sure. But we're going to head over to the action now, folks. And there we are, as we now run on board with TRR Limitless now making his way down through the Hanger Straight. And look at the droplets of rain cascading down here at the UK circuit of Silverstone. Absolutely thrilling stuff indeed. And as you can see, they're all desperate to start setting lap times here on the soft tyres. Lutz, you're absolutely right, Miles. Fastest on track at the moment. The two Hasses joining each other in tandem. LVA Brown is in P2 as TRR Limitless now comes across the line himself. He's going to park himself in P9. And Antoine just pips in there into P9, should I say. TRR Limitless down into P10 now. And I have to say, it's going to put the guys who have yet to go out at a disadvantage, as we now see Rosie. Now that track is starting to look very slippy now.
I don't think we will see any improvement from any of those guys. I mean, Dace Rhombus and Rossi are out on track. They haven't set a lap time yet. Rossi has track position, you could say, at the moment against Dace Rhombus, who I think invalidated his first run. So that is basically all that's to play for this qualifying session, because I think with the rain increasing, it's just becoming wetter and wetter, and by that, I don't think there will be any improvement, and that's why it was so crucial for Lut to stick it out as early as possible. Same goes for Brown, and just look at the likes of Jonas, 24-4. We had a league race in TSI yesterday. He did a 23.4. So that is just showing how difficult it is to actually set a competitive lap time right now here on this track, on this very, very wet track already. Rossi is the first guy to actually set a lap time, and I mean, that was not the thing you want to have your mechanics to do all the work between qualifying and the race, but he decides to just spin it into the wall. So Dace Rhombus is the only guy out on track currently who actually wants to set a lap time and maybe get that P18, which is only for track position here right now.
Well, the one thing we can say is that Flying Rossi now is out of the session after that crash heading down that straight. As we now see Days Rhombus coming across the line, and he cannot go quicker. Look at the deficit there. 1.31.305. That's a 131.305. And approximately 3.5 seconds. The difference, in fact, more than that. It's more like 4 seconds. Unreal, isn't it? I have to say, that's how much the slightest droplets of rain can make. And you can see it there, the spray starting to come off the tyres. The driver's bailing into the pit lane. Antoine has already retired. So has Perondi. And I can only imagine that all the drivers are going to look to do the same. They might just wait a little bit. Maybe just see whether the conditions do change. We've still got over 11.5 minutes of qualifying here. Lutt has already retired from the session. This is played right into the hands here of the Haas team. Ron Haas retired as well as Lutt. And Dominic's retired as well. Rossi, of course, out as we earlier discussed. But, you know, this is played into the hands of the Haas team absolutely perfectly. And certainly, if you look at the context of the championship, this is a massive race for them.
It is, yeah, definitely. I mean, just look at where Antoine is. He's currently sitting P9 behind his teammate, and in the sandwich of Jonas and Limitless. They know each other quite well from last week, as Days Rhombus is just trying to improve on his lap time, but is unable to. Another thing I wanted to mention is Viper is currently sitting P4, George. We've seen so many recovery drives from him. He's also sitting P2 in the championship at the moment, so he won't be starting from the back, and it will be very interesting to see what he can do when he's starting at the front of the field, because that is what he will be doing here today. Mulder, also a very, very good qualifying session for him, sitting P6 here at the moment. And yeah, I don't think there's any need, unless there's rain in the race itself, to actually go out once again. Some drivers are opting to do so, maybe just to get a bit of practice in, maybe just to have that feeling for the track. Although in the wet conditions, but yeah, apart from that, there's no real point to actually go out once again. And there's the confirmation DRS has been disabled, so yeah, the intermediate tires will be the faster ones, and we won't see any improvement from any of those guys on their current time.
No, not at all. But there's one man who is out on the intermediate tyres. Of course, this will not aid his lap time. Naturally, the slower tyre, but still, Viper up into P4. Now, AlphaTauri enjoying a very, very positive season, certainly under Viper's tutelage. Currently 54 points. Obviously, still a long way to catch Antoine, who is, of course, a race winner, and well, a 3-time race winner at least. And I have to say, credit to him. They've been a formidable team of Red Bull. And you have to really, you really have to, congratulate them on their performances this season. 3 wins this season. But Viper himself, very consistent. And that has been the story of his season, indeed. He's always up there fighting for points. Tends to be more favoured in race trim rather than quali trim. But he's here anyway. And if anything, this conditioning has certainly aided his chances going into the race.
Yeah, now he's the only one out on track. Everyone else retired in the pits. Maybe he wants to do the same right now, because I mean, Critch is also out on track on a set of soft tires, so that is definitely not the tire you want to be on. But Driver's also asking in the Discord chat to retire. Viper is now the one to actually retire. Critch is the only one out in this session, so that's also interesting to see. I mean, still, the drivers are within 1 second from P1 to P17. Critch won't improve on that, but he will be starting all the way down in P15, and he is also a very, very fast guy. So I could see him doing exactly what the guy we were just talking about did every single race, what Viper did. Having a bit of a comeback drive. The alternative strategy is not that good unless you're not in a fight with anyone else. If you're starting on the medium tires, going long, and all the other drivers are battling, as Critch just completely loses the car there, coming onto the hangar straight. Unless that is the case, the alternative strategy is not the way to go here. So really curious to see what he can do coming all the way from P15, but so many drivers starting off position where you would normally not expect them to be, like Jonas, like Antoine, like Limitless. So really, really interesting to see what they will be going for, because overtaking around here is quite difficult.
It is indeed. And now seeing Critch bails into the pit lane. And that's going to be all she wrote, I think, of this qualifying session, absolutely. And we will go through the running order for you. But naturally, obviously we had to update the systems here, back here, Miles. But all that time that we lost, we've now gained back, thanks to this little situation. Keelan Lutz is on P1. He's your pole sitter for Haas, and his teammate alongside him, Olivier Brown. Haas having their best, probably one of their best qualifying sessions to date. Ron Haar P3, Viper in P4, JKB P5, Mulder P6, Perondi P7, Jonas P8, Antoine P9, Tyrrell Limitless P10, Nico P11, Bobbits P12, Joker P13, Florian P14 with Critch in P15, Luca in P16, Dominic in P17, and of course Rozzy, we lost earlier, P18, Days Rhombus P19. So, Miles, I got to say, a little bit of a different situation to be in. Obviously, the first time we've experienced the qualifying session to go the way it did, certainly with weather conditions of that nature. Very intriguing to see how this will unfold during the race. A few different faces at the higher end, as you mentioned. Maybe the one to watch is Viper, do you think?
I would go for him, yeah, to be honest, as Antoine already left the session. That is very unfortunate. But yeah, Viper is surely the one we have to keep our eyes on for the time being. I mean, he won't be doing the alternative strategy here today because just simply he qualified in P4 on the soft tires, so he can't do it. So let's see how he can do. If he was quite aggressive. I mean, not overly aggressive when it came to overtaking, but yeah. If he can maintain that aggressiveness here today, he might have a chance to actually, challenge for the podium positions. But there are also so many fast guys coming from behind, so you also have to keep your eyes on that as well. Antoine, I don't think will be able to rejoin for the race itself or for the start of the race. But fingers crossed he will be back. But also fingers crossed for the likes of Brown, who had a shocker when his wheel disconnected last week. So fingers crossed that won't happen again. Good starting position for the Haas boys. If they're working together, it will be hard for Viper actually to go and challenge for the victory today. But curious to see what he can do when starting up front.
Well, Keelan Lutz as well, the man to watch, because remember, he won last week's race. He is now back on pole yet again. You've got to fancy him, haven't you? To go go two races, I suppose it is technically. Actually be 2 in 3. But you'd certainly fancy him to pick up that second victory today.
I mean, why not? That's what you're going for. If you're starting pole position, surely that's what he will be going for. And if you're in pole position, you have the best chance to do so. I mean, drivers tend to leave it quite late around here, especially on this track with a big DRS train. So I think Brown will stay within that DRS. Maybe someone will go for a big undercut. Because that is quite strong around here, because the pits are so long. And another thing that is very crucial is the pit entry, because if you're overstepping the mark, so normally, I don't know the miles per hour, but kph, it's 60 instead of the normal 80, and that will maybe catch out some of the drivers that will go into the pits a bit too fast and just overstep the mark. So you have to really be careful on that end. But if you perform that to perfection, Lat will be leading the whole of this race, followed by his teammate, and maybe they will just sit it out together.
Yeah, well, of course, in regular time-honoured tradition, as we now see Ron Haar and Brown lining up behind, nose to tail, pretty much, literally winding their way through now towards Stowe. We want to hear your predictions, folks, for this race. Who do you think is going to be coming home with the P1? Who's going to be your top 3 at the end of this race? I want to hear your comments or see your comments in the chat. And very much as they get very close there, Ron Haar and Brown, out of the braking zone as they now begin to make their way down towards the start-finish straight. Keelan leading them round, and this Ferrari of Ron Haar looks keen just to get going. And he's been right in the thick of it this season. Viper also in behind those. What's your predictions, Miles, heading into this race?
I think I have to go with that. I'm not gonna lie, but I think Ron Haar will get P2 because he might try the undercut, and I think Viper will get another podium here today, so he will finish P3. But I think it will be a tough call between Brown and Viper for P3.
Well, it's going to be very close indeed. There the cars are lining up onto the grid, and very soon we'll get this British Grand Prix underway, folks. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Thanks for joining us, everybody, here tonight. First light, second light, third light, fourth light, the fifth light! And it's pedal to the metal, go, 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 go! Keenan Lutt gets away okay, but in behind, just look at his Viper with a tremendous start there! Already attacks LVA Brown from the get-go, then wheel to wheel in behind! Also, Ron Hart got away okay, Jakey B thrown right into the mix as well! Still the two Hasses, Bs, 1 and 2, Viper under threat now from Ron Hart! Viper in behind as well, but he's being challenged by Jakey B, Mulder as well, there is Jonas too! But as they make their way down the long stretch, down towards the next left-hander, it's still Keenan Lutt with an advantage. Brown in P2, Haas still sitting pretty. P's 1 and 2.
Yeah, great start there by Brown, and also especially great start there by Viper. He just rocketed that start, and still some positions up for grabs. JKB is having a look into Cops there on Ronha as well, side by side between the two of them, and Jakey actually gets the better of Ronha there. Slotting into P4, a fight for P7 also going on between Limitless and Mulder. And Antoine is back in the session, but I think there was an incident with Florian earlier on. And he's all the way down, like 11 seconds behind Luca, who is currently sitting P17. Florian had wing damage, so not a good start for Antoine. But fights going on left, right, and center, coming down the hangar straight. Peroni is having a look at Mulder. Mulder himself is having a look on Limitless again. So it's just, yeah, left, right, and center. So many fights going on between the drivers, but Lutt already checking out a bit at the front.
Yeah, he is, absolutely. He's already broken the second gap, in fact. He's gone ahead of his teammate LVA Brown and is very successfully doing so. Seeing Critch, the two Williams is battling. Critch manages to hold on to P10 with Perondi, who's in behind him as well. But just look further up, Ronha and JKB as well going nose to tail. Just look at this string of cars, absolutely unrelenting. Tyrrell Limitless getting off to a fantastic start as well. He's up into P7 after fighting his way 2 places, or 3 places, should I say, in the first lap. Sensational start for the Mercedes man. But further up, you can see the Hasses are both checking out here. Keenan Lutt managing to spring a 1.1 second advantage. 4/10s back Viper, who is currently in P3, managing to gain a spot. Jakey B clocking every move the Alpha Tower he makes. But we're into lap 2 of 26. Fireworks from the get-go, and that is what we like. It's league racing, Miles.
Yeah, great racing here. Especially, I mean, Lutt just checking out that the front 1.1 seconds is the gap. So, yeah, screw my prediction of them actually working together. Lutt just is having none of that and just leaving his teammate, yeah, up for grabs for the likes of Viper, who is just sitting behind, who had that phenomenal start and just now looking to get into P2. Ronha is running, or is going back a bit in this race, lost 2 positions, but also Critch, you mentioned him 1 lap earlier. He already made up 6 positions, coming from P15 now into P9 on those medium tires. That is very crucial for him, as Lutt sets another fastest lap. But now DRS is enabled, and will there be a move from Viper on Brown? Will there be a move from Jonas on Ronha? Because Ronha looks a bit vulnerable, if you ask me, and Jonas is just taking a bit of a better line. Will there be a move from Jakey as well on Viper? So many fights going on, and if you want to make up and just challenge for the lead, I mean, just look at Lutt, 1.5, make that 1.6 seconds. He's just checked out, and if you have the confidence in yourself to actually follow him, you have to be in that second position and try to make the best out of that. That position is currently obtained by Brown, so all the guys behind just want that spot currently.
Yeah, they do. Well, they're heading round now, Cops, and very soon they'll be making their way down towards Maggots and Beckett's, and as they wind their way through, still Lutt currently in front, and he's managed to spring another 5/10, but in behind you can see the battle between these 3. LVA Brown holding off 4/10 of a second between Viper and JKB in the mix as well. JKB trying to line up Slipstream now. The DRS now active for Viper, who goes hunting down the inside, heading into Stowe, but here comes JKB being dragged through into all the chaos. Viper in behind. They go wheel to wheel. Viper and Jakey bears the inside line. Battle on battle here in Silverstone. Still wheel to wheel as they head round the next right-hander. Down through, past Club Corner, down the Lewis Hamilton straight. Jakey B bursting through. Stumps at P3. Sensational maneuver, Miles.
Great maneuver there by JKB. Yeah, just caught Viper napping. I think Viper didn't want to go for the overtake on Brown, and that just caught him off guard. and opened the door for Jakey to actually go down into the club section, down the inside, around the outside on Viper, and there was a bit of wheel banging involved, but I think not that much that that is worth. Yeah, maybe he will take that to the stewards, but still, Jakey is through for the time being. Now can set his eyes on Brown and maybe, just maybe, hunt down Lud, who's just still, opening up the gap to Brown as now Limitless and Jonas have a go into Cops. Side by side between the two of them. Jonas is just sticking behind. Limitless, I mean, we know it's one of his favorite tracks, Silverstone is, and he's just trying to go as high up the order as he can, and he's just doing a stellar job right now. Maybe also catching Jonas napping there a bit, coming down the old start-finish straight, and Jonas now has to settle currently for P7, but we have a long race up ahead. We're only on lap 4, but so many position changes already.
Yeah, I got to say, TR Limitless looks right at home here in Britain, and I have to say, he certainly must do. I have to say, he does like Silverstone, as you quite rightly have mentioned, as he now makes his way behind Ronhauer, of course, and how long have the Mercedes and the Ferrari teams battled over the years. And once again, we're going to see it here at Silverstone as they wind their way through Abbey Farm and now Village, and heading down towards the loop. And there you can see LVA Brown leading this contingent through. Just look at Letts, he's really taken his bags and gone on home. He's currently, nearing 2 seconds of delta gap between him and LVA Brown. Jonas is trying to scrap back to try and fight Tyrrell Limitless. And I got to say, once again, another old school contest, Red Bull and Mercedes, and a contest that we're still seeing to this day, obviously, this time between Lewis and Max Verstappen. As we're now watching this contingent round through the next right-hander, heading down the next straight, of course, through Woodcote down towards Cops, and very soon, once again, Maggots and Beckett's. Now, Limitless has proven to be quick through this sector. He's getting closer and closer to Ronha all the time here as they wind through this section now. Very soon, Chapel will beckon as he makes his way through, and the Hangar Straight will be next on his list as they come down now. They all have DRS. They're all strung out pretty well here. In behind, Singh Critch starting to gain on Mulder, and of course Critch, who's rapidly risen through the ranks, is letting fly here at the Alfa Romeo as they round Stowe. And I gotta say, that Williams is looking dangerous, Miles.
It is, yeah, definitely. I mean, he's in a very, very good position there. I mean, he didn't make up any places after the start, but he had a phenomenal start as now Rossi gets a penalty. Dominic has a penalty as well, and Florian has one as well. But yeah, Critch, I mean, he's doing a stellar job. He has his teammate behind him, but Critch is on the medium tires, so he's in a very good position to actually, salvage something in the end. I mean, when he will be on the soft tires, of course, the other guys will dive it into the pits quite early and will have the undercut, but he will be flying on those soft tires. And remember, he definitely has a fresh set of soft tires because, I mean, we had quite of a wet qualifying. If you weren't here, it basically was a one-shot. So everyone will have fresh tires in the end, especially if you're on the alternative strategy, and that is what Critch is. So he's looking very, very likely to salvage some good points, maybe even the top 5. We will see for that. But Mulder not really able to hold the gap to Jonas. I mean, he is still holding that gap to Jonas, that 1 second which you want to be in, but Critch is looking very, very strong here right now and setting his eyes on Mulder, but he knows also that it's very difficult to overtake. Is there an overtake coming for Viper though? No, not really. No real overtakes going on for the time being, George, which is kind of shame if you ask me, because the first 2 laps were just great. Let's put it that way.
Well, they seem to all be just sinking in now, letting it all mull under. They've had the first couple of laps now. There's been a little bit of axiness heading through the first few laps here at Silverstone, but I got to say, it's been absolutely brilliant so far. And as we're now watching Tyrrell Limitless now just bustle his way down this next right-hander, heading into or through the initial sector here at Silverstone, coming around the next left-hander, soon to be down the Wellington Straight, and you want to try and get a bit closer to the Ferrari, but they're all strung out pretty well right now. 0.4 of a second, pretty much in between each of the top 10, bar, of course, the top end, where you've got Keelan Lutz, who's now 2 seconds clear of his teammate LVA Brown. In behind, Jakey B, approximately 0.6 away from Brown currently. Haas and Alfa Romeo now currently separated by that margin. Viper in P4 as well, looking to pounce and looking to strike, as all Vipers would. He's been doing exceptionally well so far, managed to hold on to the position that he qualified in, and this is a great opportunity for Viper, certainly, as he makes his way through this race. He certainly does carry a lot of stamina when it comes to this kind of racing. You can fight right to the end. In behind Critch, getting closer as well. In behind Mulder. Remember, he had a chance in the last couple of laps, and he's looking to potentially open the door to some bullying here down this long straight at certainly here at the Hangar Straight as they round Stowe, and there's Limitless now piling his way through, and there's a long gap then down towards Mulder, and Limitless builds into the pit lane, and that, I have to say, he's the first to go. Now that's really interesting, Miles. Why has he chosen that?
I think just to go for a bit of track position. I mean, like I said, the undercut is quite strong around here, so Limitless is just trying to do something different. I mean, we've seen him doing that quite often, and he just by doing that, he's just putting pressure onto the likes of Ronha, Viper, Jakey, and Brown. I mean, they have to stop or come into the pits at the end of this lap. That is quite early, if you ask me. He's going onto the medium tires, so he just clearly wants to have some clean air, just to push a bit more, because also your battery is recharging, and just look at how much he has. He has 100%, so he can push on this lap like crazy, and just try and go for a big undercut on the likes of Ronha and Viper. So really curious to see where he will come out, and even if some drivers will even follow him into the pit lane, because Jakey is setting his eyes onto Brown now, because he knows it's crunch time right now. I'm pretty sure Lut has the lux, or can just stick out one more lap. And here comes Jakey down the Hangar Straight, and yeah, no real fight from Brown going on there, and just going up the inside. Is he coming into the pits though? Lut is coming in, so Brown has to stick out. Same goes for Jakey. He's also sticking out. So many drivers sticking it out. Jonas just demolished the 80. The 60 kph board there on the right hand side, but everyone's coming in, and now will be interesting to see where in all of that is Tyrrell Limitless. He's just coming down the Hangar Straight, George, and has to go through Stowe, the club section, and down the Hamilton Straight. So will he be in front of the likes of the guys that just pitted?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. He's currently still down in P18. I have to say, if he comes out behind them, we'll have to see how this pays off for him. Of course, that would pretty much render his strategy not unsuccessful, but as he now makes his way through, and he does indeed, he moves ahead of Viper and comes out behind Keaton Lutz. So that has been a crucial stop indeed for Tyrrell Limitless, and it's paid off immensely well there for the Mercedes man indeed. He's now down in P14, 3 seconds the delta gap. He can now let fly at him now with a refreshed energy core. He's already used half of it as he makes his way down now towards Brooklands, and as he does so, just tries to nestle his car into gear 4, now down through towards the next right-hander, down to 3rd, down to 2, quick shift to 3rd, up to 4th again, and will plough his way through Woodcote, down the stretch towards Cops, and already the Mercedes trying to lessen the delta gap, still remains around about 3 seconds, has sprung up 2 tenths now already. Keaton Lutz trying to really hit the fire and flames here at the British Grand Prix. He's already, at this moment in time, clear by approximately 3.3 seconds, so he's loving life in P1. Antoine is ahead of him, not having the best of races. He, of course, winner 3 times this season, but at this moment in time, he's technically a back marker, Miles.
Yeah, quite unfortunate, but fortunate for the championship, to be honest. I mean, Antoine has quite a sizable gap, so not that bad for the championship. Of course, not the position you want to be in if you're a championship leader, but still, I mean, Antoine might be able to salvage some points as Limitless sets the fastest lap of this race, and let's just see where he will come out. There is Limitless and JKB, so big undercut there by Tyrrell Limitless. He's into net P2, George. That is huge. Jonas also up by, I think, the position on Ronha, and Brown lost out so much time. He's all the way down in P16. He surely got held in the pit lane. But I think the same applies to the likes of Viper, because that undercut by Tyrrell Limitless was huge. And yeah, the gap between him and Lut, who is our net race leader, 3.2 seconds, but Limitless with the undercut, just showing once again why he came into the pits that early. very smart move there by JD, and yeah, currently sitting P2 there for the Mercedes driver.
Well, depending on how he finishes, we could be writing the next title for his newest video. I have to say, how to execute the perfect undercut or utilize the perfect strategy, because he could well bring that to the table. He's now rushing down this next straight before he reaches Stowe, and I got to say, he must be filled with bags of confidence right now. 3.2 seconds still remains the delta gap between him and Keedan Lutz, of course, but still, Sincrich is leading the way. He is yet to box. We've got Antoine as well, who's currently ahead of those. Flying Rossi's in the pit lane, and you can see there further up, Sincrich has managed to spring 2 seconds on Bobbitts. Critch can still play a vital part in this race, remember. He can go slightly longer on those medium tyres. If he comes out, he can potentially nestle himself onto the softer compound. So we'll have to wait and see, folks, as to how this pays off for him. Further back, Bobbitts in P2. Currently weathering the storm that is WOR Nico, who's currently down in P3. Joker in P4 as well. Dominic in behind has got a penalty. In P5, Luca is trying to gain on him, and Luca has been fighting tooth and nail with Dominic now for quite a number of laps. He might get his chance, though, out of Maggots and Beckett's as they now cascade through this swinging section very soon to come around Chapel Curve. Just to go close to Renault is getting to the racing point. Will Luca open up his DRS, apply his energy levels as well, and look for an overtake? I don't think he's going to find the traction as they come up now towards Stowe. He's got his teammate Days Rhombus in behind him as well as they enter Stowe corner now. Still all in tandem, still all in majesty. It's a long way to go. Still plenty of action to be had.
Definitely, and just a carbon copy of what we've seen earlier, George, with the top guys before they entered the pits, and what we're seeing right now as well as yeah, just behind one after the other. They are just going, and no real overtakes happening, unfortunately for us at the moment. But I mean, just a tiny mistake. If you're just doing a tiny mistake, so just look at how close Jonas is to Viper, for example. 0.3 of a second. If there's just one mistake, you could lose so many positions. So, for example, if Limitless, I mean, he's not the kind of guy who's doing that many mistakes, but if he's just having one tiny bit of a mistake, that might cost him maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe even 3 positions, as Jakey now is really looking feisty there in the Alfa Romeo, and he doesn't want to go in front of Limitless as it stands right now, as Florian retires in the pits, unfortunately. But yeah, Jakey just looking setting his eyes onto Tyrrell Limitless, but doesn't really want to overtake. His battery is nearly full, is Jakey B's, and everyone else is just waiting for the right for the right situation for them to pounce and just gain a position if there's something going wrong at the front. What I have to say, George, though, is not that many penalties being applied. Although Silverstone is one of the tracks where you could easily get a penalty, but guys are doing a phenomenal job for the time being. As now here comes JKB down the hanger straight on Tyrrell Limitless, going down the inside, and Limitless not fighting that. Maybe he knows that JKB has the tire advantage, and maybe Limitless also knows that sitting behind someone in that train is not the worst position to be in.
No, absolutely. I have to say, Limitless knew exactly what he was doing there. He knew that it was going to be a difficult ask to try and hold off JKB. Of course, the straight line speed was unbelievable on the Alfa Romeo, but he had all that energy there stored in the car, so he could utilize it there down the straight, heading down towards Stowe, and he did open it up and applied it, and the Mercedes had no answer for that particular moment in time. We've still got a fair ways to go, though, and I'd imagine that now Limitless can utilize the DRS to try and conserve his own ERS and potentially allow him to pounce later on. We are literally right on the halfway point here of this British Grand Prix, folks. I hope you've all enjoyed the coverage so far. Please leave your comments in the box as well. Say hello, and of course, leave us your predictions. Who do you think is going to be there at the top end come the end of the day? Will it be Keedan Lutt taking it all the way? He certainly looks comfortable at this moment in time, running his own race currently, but JKB has brought it down by 0.2 of a second. Is JKB going to unlock the pace here and drag this train with him?
Could be the case, as now the first ones on the medium tires actually coming into the pits, and Nico gets, unfortunately, a 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane. That is the crucial part I was talking about. But that is a very, very aggressive undercut, if you ask me. But we've seen that could pay off for the likes of Limitless, for example. Critch was also in the pits, and he just came to a standstill. So let's wait and see where he will be, George, once he comes out of the pit lane, because he was the one we put out to look out for. Come the end of the race, I mean, he will be undercutted hugely by everyone else. So he just lost the position to his teammate. There's Mulder coming, so he is behind Mulder. Mulder also running a bit of his own race at the moment, running very low in errors. Critch will surely know that, as there's JKB parked up on the outside. Oh, I don't know what happened there with Jakey, if there was another driver involved, but there is no front wing attached to that Alfa Romeo anymore.
No, I have to say, we did not see that coming at all. It looks like he just literally ploughed right into the wall. Whether he lost traction heading through turn 1, I'm not overly sure, but what that allows is TRL Limitless to plough through and retake that position that he did lose earlier on, of course, to JKB, but heartbreaking there for the Alfa Romeo. It looked like he had it all in set, in motion for him. Certainly a podium was on the cards, but now it's TRL Limitless who now retakes that spot. Viper is in behind now, and Jonas is all over the rear end of him. So we got two battles here happening as Viper now with the DRS looks to get closer, heading down towards the next right-hander. We are hearing, actually, folks, in our earpieces or in the chat, Luke Humphreys is actually confirmed that JKB's screen turned off, and that meant that he could not see what he was doing. He lost visibility, and that is what sent him into the wall, and that is absolutely devastating. Not the first technical hitch that we've seen a DNF to happen. Remember last week, of course, we had a wheel cutout for LBA Brown, who's still in the podium fight here today, and now we're seeing that JKB's monitor had indeed switched off. So never an ideal scenario, that, Miles.
How unfortunate is that? I mean, he was looking very, very good for a very, very solid points paying position here. Was looking very likely for a podium. I mean, he was sitting P2, but that is just unfortunate. That I mean, if that happens, you just can't do anything about that. So he left the session, which I can totally understand a bit. I mean, that is frustrating. We all had that probably. Some technical difficulties in our time. Even if you're racing or if you're commentating, maybe also your monitor turned off once and you just couldn't see what was happening. So very unfortunate for Jakey, but fortunate for all the others that now can collect some more points.
And how about this? How about this as well? Because Viper is bringing a friend with him. Here comes Jonas now. They're heading down the straighter hangar, and as they make their way down towards Stoke, going defensive. Slightly there is Viper, but Jonas still looking to apply the pressure. Maybe looks to try and get the switch back on here. And I have to say, Viper, who looked to be getting closer to TRL Limitless, but I've got to say, JD really defending extremely well, or holding on to the Delta gap pretty well indeed, making their way down the stretch once again. Jonas getting really familiar with the rear end of that AlphaTauri, and I have to say, as they burst through the next right-hander, beginning their lap 16 of 26, 10 laps remaining. Just want to say a big shout out to Alex Dagu. It is his birthday today, folks. I want to see everybody wish Alex Dagu a very happy birthday.
As long as nobody starts to sing on stream, I'm fine with that. So congratulations also from our side. Yeah, the race still going on. I mean, lap 16, Critch just set the fastest lap of the race, George. So he has arrived at the back of this train. So on those soft tires, I mean, he's just fighting in the car a bit. I mean, he is at the back. He has the tire advantage still, of course. I mean, he just pitted 2 laps earlier. He's on the back of his teammate, and he has 30% in his battery, and he can see the light coming on off the back of his teammate's car. So I don't think Pironi will fight that much for P7, and then Critch might be able to set his eyes onto Brown. But apart from that, it's really hard to actually overtake. I mean, we saw with Jonas 1 lap earlier. Trying to have a go on Viper, not able to, because Viper also had that DRS and ERS off of Limitless, so very hard to overtake around here if you're in the train. But maybe he can use that tire advantage to good effect and get the better of. I mean, Pironi won't be that big of a problem, I would think, but maybe get the better of Brown and Ronha maybe.
Yeah, well, you've got to look at the soft users. I mean, heading down through the last stages of this race, they've got to really try and conserve the tread on that tyre, because bear in mind, he's already amassed 2 laps on it. We've got over 9 to go. And you have to wonder, when you start to get to 8 laps on those tyres, maybe you start feeling a little bit slick heading around Silverstone, certainly around this sector, certainly in the middle sector to say the least, because obviously you've got these very tight winding sections heading around the likes of the loop into Aintree, and then you've got Luffield, very tricky to negotiate your way around those sorts of corners with very used soft tyres, and similar around Club Corner as well, very, very treacherous, as we're now watching Jonas once again close to the rear end of Viper's AlphaTauri. Now it seems to me that we're seeing Viper getting closer to Jonas and we are seeing him get close to Limitless, and I have to say Limitless must be delighted to see that Red Bull getting closer to the rear end of the AlphaTauri as they head down the hangar straight now, down towards Stowe yet again. The Delta gap still reasonably wide. Ronhard coming in to join the fray as well, and there's a long gap down towards St. Critch, who is literally a second away from his teammate Perondi. Amazing stuff indeed. We're in lap 17 of 26. It's a case of who blinks first, Miles. We're not sure where the next move is coming from, but I have to say it's teed up to be a scintillating grandstand finish.
It definitely is, and Ron has 75% in his battery, so he's just also waiting for the right opportunity to rise. There was nearly the right opportunity for Jonas coming onto the hangar straight, but Viper just had a phenomenal exit, which just helped him to stay in front, and also, of course, the DRS he has from Limitless still. Limitless knows what he has to do to maybe even keep Jonas behind. I mean, we don't know who's the bigger threat here right now. If it is Viper, Jonas, or even Ronhar, who is currently sitting P5, so or Critch, who's currently sitting P8. That could also be the case. So Critch just got a penalty, maybe a bit too much grip on those soft tires. That could also be the case, but Drive is keeping it very light here. With any penalties going on, and I hope I didn't commentators curse anyone here. But Jonas has a good entry all the time into Maggot's back at the chapel. Now has a good exit, similar exit to what Viper had. Viper is putting the overtake button on, but Jonas isn't. Maybe he just realized that he has to save some ERS. Viper is also crucially on 2 warnings, so another warning will just put him into that 3-second window with the penalty. That could provide crucial, and I won't even look what Limitless is doing on penalty situation or warning situation, because I could imagine he's only sitting on none or even maybe 1.
Well, he's certainly a very clean driver, and I got to say, he's looking very smart in P2 right now. Viper locking up, heading around that next right-hander. Now they're going to head round the loop, and that was out of Village, heading down towards Aintree. And they're going to rush down the Wellington straight before they reach Brooklands. And now Viper, once again at the mercy of Jonas, who looks to be getting closer and closer all the time, just cannot find that last iota of pace that can get him over the line of overtaking the AlphaTauri as they come round the next right-hander. And certainly as things stand right now, Viper holding on by the skin of his teeth, by a fly's eyelash to say the least, is all that separates them. Jonas himself in the Red Bull looking to give himself wings here as they come up now towards the next right-hander at Cops. And still, it's these three made up with Ronhar as well in behind, and LVA Brown, who of course was starting on the first row of the grid. Remember, he was alongside his teammate CRG Lutz, who's currently still owning top spot right now. Look at the exit once again from Jonas. He's still very much behind the AlphaTauri, but once again Viper frustrating him. Now here comes Ronhar. The Ferrari goes down the inside heading into Stowe, and the prancing horse prances up into P4. Scintillating maneuver, textbook here around Silverstone and round Stowe indeed. And now that blazing red will once again try and taste podium glory. Sensational drive.
Yeah, he was just waiting for the right opportunity and just used that ERS advantage he has. And I mean, he had and he still has. If we're just taking a look at the ERS situation, he has more than Viper has, but I mean, he has less than Limitless has. And there's a fight going on between Brown and Critch for P6. Critch now has the outside, going onto the Wellington straight, opening up the DRS, still side by side between those two. Brown has a bit of an ERS advantage, taking the inside line now into Brooklands, and oh, there was a bit of contact with the Ghost car. Don't quote me on that. Brown now has the outside, and Critch with the tire advantage makes the move stick into P6. Now can set his eyes onto Jonas. He has to pounce now because he has that 3-second time penalty. But Brown is looking very likely to retake that position because he has that ERS advantage. So Critch has to be careful. He has to pick his moves very smartly right now and try to make up some ground on track.
Yeah, well, Critch now has really got to utilise those softs ASAP, but he certainly seems to have risen to the occasion. He has done exceptionally well to carry the pace through this race. Viper trying to get closer to Limitless, and I have to say that's probably the closest he's been in a long while, heading down towards the next left-hander here, through Vale, now towards the club corner. The AlphaTauri once again looking to get closer. The Mercedes still holding on to P2. Keelan Lutz still in front and in charge of this race so far. Ronha down in P4 as well. And looking at a chase after he very cleverly dispatched Jonas heading into Stowe. But still, it's these three with the chasing pack of Jonas, St. Critch as well, who's really risen to the occasion, sent it down the inside. Wowee! Heading down the inside, down towards the Wellington Straight. Still there, ankle tap in there. At the rear wheels, the Williams and the Red Bull as we try and find the camera angle. Down towards the next left, heading into Brooklands. The Williams of St. Critch, a prosaic performance, lands himself up into P5. Amazing drive indeed. St. Critch, a hat tip for driver of the day. He is sending it everywhere here.
Jonas was not that happy with that move. I mean, we could see them coming down the Wellington Straight, and Jonas was weaving all over the place, just trying to defend from him, and he was not happy with that one. But yeah, I mean, now maybe Jonas can take advantage of Critch, because Critch is looking, like you said, very, very feisty indeed, and trying to make the move maybe on Ronha as well, maybe pushing him wide, and maybe that will open up the opportunity for Jonas to regain the position on Ronha he lost a few laps ago, coming down the Hanger Straight. So let's wait and see. I mean, Lut at the front, completely checked out, 4.4 seconds out. I would say, unless there's a technical difficulty, fingers crossed there won't be one, he's looking very likely to win this race. And Limitless sitting P2. Let's just have a look at the ERS situation. 41% for Viper, 54 for Limitless. So Viper does not have the ERS advantage at the moment, but Limitless is doing a stellar job there, as Antoine just keeps setting the fastest lap of the race. Although he's on the medium tires and all the way on the back of the grid, he's just going to the end on those tires, which he has to do, I would say.
Yeah, well, I got to say, it's been a real shame for Antoine, unable to add to the 3 victories he's already tallied for this season, and number 4 has not arrived just yet, but Keelan Lutz is on for a double here. Of course, he won last week, and now he's looking to win again. He lit things up at the French Grand Prix circuit, of course, at Paul Ricard, and now he's here at Silverstone looking to do the very same thing, and he's literally picked up his bags and fled on home. St. Critch now trying to gain on Ronha in the Ferrari. Viper not hitting the apex as well as he would have liked, and this could open the door here for the Ferrari once again. He has looked so quick in the straight line speeds, and certainly heading down this long stretch towards now, well, the Hanger Straight towards Stowe. He could open the door as they come through the next right-hander. Still once again Viper holding on. The 2 Italian constructors now winding up through the final part of sector 3, through the club corner, soon to be on the Hamilton Straight, but still Limitless holds on to P2. Viper in P3, Ronha in P4, St. Critch with a prosaic drive in P5. But remember, those soft tyres are going to be feeling the effects now for sure now, and surely you're going to see the mediums maybe pick things up here, but we're now going to wait and see. Oh, Ronha going very deep there. I thought he was looking for a move here on Viper, but he might still do. He might have the edge heading down the straight through Wellington.
Yeah, I think he thought about it, making the move down the inside on Viper there, but maybe just setting him off guard, just maybe disrupting him a bit out of his rhythm he is in right now, is Viper. I mean, he is comfortably sitting in P3 in the DRS of Limitless, and is just enjoying life where he is right now. But I mean, Ronha knows that surely, and just trying to disturb that rhythm he is in right now. I mean, he's looking very, very strong as Ronha, and he also has so much ERS to play with. Good exit though from Viper now, coming down the Hanger Straight. Is Critch doing anything about that? Not really. So I would second what you just said. The tire situation is a very interesting one. I would say the soft tires and the medium tires are quite equal at this point of the race, especially as Critch moved into the pits quite early, quite aggressive for the undercut, but that paid off until this point. I mean, he's sitting P5. He has that 3-second time penalty hanging over his name though, so that won't help his charge for the podium positions and will more likely throw him back in this race.
Well, they're all commencing their lap 24 of 26, and still on top is Keaton Lut, and he's clear by 4.5 seconds. And I've got to say, looking very comfortable. He's just sprung another 2/10 of a second as well upon TRL Limitless. And looking further down, Viper getting awfully close now to the Mercedes yet again, but still the Italian constructors battling it out because the Ferrari of Ronha has not left the rear of Viper. And as they make their way down through the next right-hander, he's very much glued to the rear end of that AlphaTauri. In behind as well, Critch, and in the Williams, looking to bring them back to the podium respectability that they very much used to be on as they come through now. The next right-hander at Cops, soon to be Maggots and Beckett's. Ronha look to have the better pace heading through this section of the track as they now rise through this next few bends, heading soon through Chapel. Look how close the Ferrari is to the rear of the AlphaTauri. Can he open up the DRS? Potentially getting the slipstream here of the AlphaTauri, now heading down towards Stowe. Viper knows he might be in trouble as they come through. God, they're getting close, nose to tail, as they come through Sector 3. And as they make their way through, surely now, as Keaton Lut will activate lap 25 of 26, we're going to be on the penultimate lap, folks. Who's going to get on the podium in this British Grand Prix?
I mean, that's for sure. But apart from that, it's still all up for grabs. I mean, Limitless is sitting P2, which is probably the best position to be in right now, because most likely only one driver can dispatch him of that opportunity to take P2. So maybe Viper's in the second best position to actually get a podium. But Ronha is looking very, very strong indeed, and just trying to get the better of Viper. But Viper also getting so many good exits where he needs them, and that is just, yeah, frustrating for Ronha, of course. And just look at how close he is through Luffield here. Just like you said, nose to tail between them. And the big problem is if you're leaving it very, very late into this race. I mean, we are already on lap 25 of 26, but he has to pounce now because there won't be another opportunity, I'm pretty sure, arising for him. But Viper maybe will try to do the same on Limitless. He's very careful though on those medium tires, because he has that penalty flying around his head, because he has 2 warnings, setting his eyes on Limitless, unable to do any overtaking, and we're about to head onto the final lap, and there is the penalty for Viper for going wide at Stowe. That is going to throw a spanner into the works of him, and opening up the chance now for Ronha to actually grab a podium.
Yeah, well, they're coming across the line now to commence their lap 26, the final lap here in the British Grand Prix. And it's been a sensational drive from Keaton Lut. It's also been a sensational drive here from TRL Limitless, but he's still got Viper in behind. But Viper has been given a blow of a time penalty that will see him tumble out to the podium places and open the door for Ronha, of course, in the Ferrari to take that position P3 on this classification as they come now down through Wellington, down towards Brooklands. There you can see them all in tandem. In behind, Critch still holding on to that P5, but he's got a penalty as well. So Jonas will rise up the ranks himself as they round now this next right-hander down the old paddock straight, leading down towards Cops. Still, Limitless in P2, being let fly upon by Viper. Ronha looks to be very comfortable, currently in P4, knows that he can land P3 as long as he keeps it clean, but I'm sure he'd love to do it on track here as they come through the next right-hander. Jonas crucially leaving the session at exactly the wrong time, opening the door for LVA Brown to improve here. But now, as we watch the drivers wind their way through, it's been a sensational performance from a man who has not even been touched since the start of the race. The Haas driver, he has been absolutely sensational here at Britain. His name's Keaton Lut. He wins the British Grand Prix. TRL Limitless will come across the line and take P2. Ronha taking that P3 with Viper with the penalty, drops him to P5. The Williams team celebrating 2 drivers in the top 6. Perondi in P4, Critch in P6, Jonas in P7, and LVA Brown in P8. But what an incredible race there, Miles, and a sensational story.
Great race. I mean, Lut just checking out from the start, but behind him, everything was up for grabs. I mean, Critch got the driver of the day from the game, which is probably deserved. I mean, looking at where he started the race in, but surely Lut just doing a phenomenal job. Limitless also with the undercut. I mean, that was huge. And Ronha also picking up a podium for himself. I'm pretty sure he will be pleased with that, considering where he was at the start. I mean, he was P3 at the start, but then just dropping places and just got back into that P3 in the end because there were some penalties applied. So he will be pleased with that. And just a good race throughout the whole grid and the whole session.
Absolutely. Well, they all celebrate there, and you got to say that that's a delighted Keaton Lutt taking victory. Tyrrell Limitless himself will be delighted with the P2 as well. We're going to go through the final classifications, folks, after such a spectacular Grand Prix. Keaton Lutt is your winner, and he will be claiming all 25 points for the second week in a row for Haas as well. Great day at the office for them. Tyrrell Limitless with a P2 after starting P10 on the grid. What a drive. P3 for Ronha, Perondi in P4, Viper P5, Sinkrich P6, Jonas P7, Brown P8, Luca P9, Joker P10, Dominic P11, Mulder P12, Rozzy P13, 14th for Roberts, Rhombus P15, Nico P16, Antoine P17, Jakey B P18, and Florian P19, folks. But wowee, Miles, I gotta say, who was your driver of the day? I want to hear from you. Who do you think was your man that took him to the top?
I think I'm going to go with a bit of a boring one here today. Not gonna lie, because I mean he was doing a stellar job from start to finish. I mean, and from start to finish, I mean from qualifying, he was the first one to leave the pits, set the fastest lap of the session, which was basically one-shot qualifying, getting that pole position in the end, leading from start to finish. I think it was just. I mean, Lutt has to be my driver of the day here today.
Well, I got to say, it was a tremendous drive. Personally, I've got to go for Tyrrell Limitless on a sterling drive to get from P10 to P2 and pretty much holding his spot after an expert bit of defending. He had no DRS for a mighty amount of that race, and luckily enough, I think you got to count. He's got to count himself slightly lucky with the fact that JKB had a technical problem that actually ended up with him crashing, of course, out of the race, not out of the race, but obviously dropped him right down the field. But nevertheless, an incredible performance to say the least. And I'm pleased to say that we have got drivers in for interviews now, and we will be interviewing them now. Keaton Lutt. Keaton, what a drive. I have to say, you must be delighted with that performance. Got yourself P1 on the grid in qualifying after a very unpredictable session due to the wet weather, but you must be delighted. You led from start to finish.
Yeah, felt good. All controlled, and yeah, just happy with my performance.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2 from 2 now. You must be absolutely thrilled. I know we spoke last week and you weren't so sure on your performances, but I got to say, after France, you looked so confident, blazing confidence. And you've come here today. And I asked you last week, I said, what are your thoughts going into Silverstone? And you weren't overly sure, but you seem pretty sure to me out there.
Yeah, it's better to be unsure sometimes to, surprise yourself, just... I never want to go into a race weekend thinking I'm going to definitely win this. I just want to be like the underdog and just surprise maybe myself as well. So, yeah. But today, I felt confident in my pace from practice. I was feeling very confident throughout the race. Everything was controlled. I was feeling very happy behind the wheel. Didn't get any warnings. Didn't make any mistakes. Maybe a couple of luck-ups during that 26-lap period, but that's about it.
Yeah, you pretty much got your head down. I mean, it certainly was yourself and your teammate Alvier Brown that got on the front row of the grid. Of course, you pretty much flew from the get-go. Was it in your interest? You just thought to yourself, right, I'm going to literally go full pelt here, try and put some delta time in between me and my teammate, and Alvier Brown almost acting like that guardian defense, shall I say, from that top spot?
Yeah, my plan was to, just from the get-go, just to get out of DRS and not give any other drivers a chance to get even into my DRS and just cruise on my own pretty much. Because that's, I feel like, when I'm most comfortable driving, like just focus on myself, not on anything else, and just going forward. Well,
you're one race away now from levelling Antoine's 3 wins of the season. Heading into the next race, of course, we're going to Spa-Francorchamps. What's your feelings going into Belgium? Is that a track you like? Because I know sometimes it can be Marmite with a few drivers.
Yeah, I absolutely love the circuit. I think it's like as close to my liking as Britain, pretty much. I love both of these tracks, and yeah, I'm hoping for another victory there. Of course, that's what I'm aiming for every race.
Well, I got to say, congratulations on a superb victory. Very much deserved, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time we head to Belgium.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I've just sprung him in here. TR Limitless has joined us in the commentary box as well after finishing a stellar P2 after starting P10 on the board. JD, I got to say, a great performance. You were my driver of the day after that one. A grandiose hill climb start. You seem to gain most of them in the first lap. About 3 places gained. Just talk us through it. You must be delighted.
Yeah, thank you very much. GG to that again. No, awesome drive from him and also from Ronhar coming through at the end. Yeah, a bit frustrating with the quali because I think being in Mercedes, starting first in the pit lane means you're last out on track. So didn't have good track conditions. I think same for me and Antoine. So really disappointing because I really wanted to try and start P11 rather than P10 because it's just, yeah, the alternate strategy is pretty powerful around here, and starting P10, it's very, very difficult to overtake around this track. So, yeah, as you said, I had a really good start following Jonas through, just picking people off nicely. And then I think a couple people made mistakes, so I got through on them. And I was always going to decide to go for a very early pit stop, even if I was near the front of the race. That was always the plan. So, yeah, just saved all my ERS, saved all my fuel, and just gave it everything on that outlap. And yeah, I think I gained like 3 positions into net P2. And from there, I knew it was going to be really hard to catch up. I know he's very good around here, and him having slightly fresher tyres, I knew that was going to be a pretty difficult task. So the focus was just trying to maintain that position. And yeah, at the end, just drove almost a perfect race. So yeah, very, very happy, to be honest. So.
Well, it was a superb effort, and I've got to say that the early box, and as you quite rightly say, was the optimum strategy choice. And I said to Miles in the commentary box, I said I can type you out JD's next video title now for you. I said to him straight away. But heading through that one, do you think the key moment was when Luck pulled away that early 2-second advantage in the first few laps? Do you think that was when his race was won because he knew he'd got away at that point, allowing, basically using his teammate as a guardian or a wall, a defense against potential attacks? Was that essentially where the race was won, do you think, and hence why you were unable to chase?
Yeah, I think I've been practicing with Luck quite a lot recently, and I think me and him practicing together has actually brought out the best in each other. He's a really, really good person to practice with, and one of the most talented on Xbox. So I had a feeling, I think he knows himself, that he was probably going to go fairly early, not until like lap 9 or something. So I knew that when I saw that gap, I knew it was going to be really difficult to try and beat him in the race. So I was just trying to recover as many positions as possible. But yeah, I think around here, its track position is really, really key. And the power of the undercut is, I found from doing a few races on this game now around here, I've always tried to go long and it always hasn't worked out. So I definitely did something different this time, and yeah, luckily it paid off. So no, GG to him and GG to Ronhar as well.
No, it was a superb performance and some superb racing as well. And I've got to say, you very much deserve that P2. So very much congratulations, and we'll move on to Spa. What are your thoughts heading into Belgium? Is it a track that you feel confident at?
It's a track that I normally don't feel confident at, but I seem to get good results. I think WOR last season I managed to win around there. That was my only win that I did, and I think me and Luck came P1, P2 on that day as well. Wow. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting contest. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, so Lut is not getting any. Seeing him all the time, looked like you were trying to open the door, just could not find that little bit of leverage to go through. But the penalty on the day moved you up into P3. You must be delighted, Ronhar. Podium on the board.
Yeah, coming into this race, I have not put that much practice in. Was not feeling confident at all, but managed to get B3 in qualifying, which I was quite surprised with, to be honest. Qualifying behind, I think, Brown and Lutt. At the start, I didn't have a great start, so I dropped already 1 place behind. I didn't know who was behind me at the time. I think it's Viper. And then a sector later, Jakey overtook me again. I don't know what happened actually with Jakey in the at the end of the race. I think his wheel disconnected.
Oh no,
That's
he had
quite
he had a screen went down. His monitor went black, so he
Oh.
couldn't see, unfortunately. So he ended up ploughing into the wall, which was a great shame. But yeah, these things happen. The wonders of the virtual world, obviously, very much a technical disaster. But nevertheless, you must have been delighted. I mean, I wanted to talk about your setup because there must be some way you're generating some extra straight line speed on that car, because I have to say, amazing efforts coming out of Maggots and Beckett's down into the straight. Do you tailor make your car to more aggressive straight line speed as opposed to cornering?
I didn't use that low wings. I used 2.6, which I think is not low at all. I think 1.6 and maybe 1.5 some people use. So what I didn't have really that much straight line speed. I think it was just Viper having no ERS that I could cut up to him. But yeah, he's on path, so for Magus and Beckers, it must be really hard to hook it up. So every time I got a good exit, but I just with the DRS and overtake, I just did not have that extra edge to overtake him maybe into stow. Yeah, it was really just a DRS strain, unfortunately.
Well, it certainly looked like a great effort. You pulled off some fantastic moves as well, heading into Stowe, and it's great to see you up there in the billing as well. You showed some real, really great early promise from the get-go. Just races haven't quite gone your way. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Lurton and Limitless as well. What are your thoughts heading into Belgium? Are you confident you can carry over this form, potentially get yourself yet another podium, maybe even a win?
I quite like Belgium, to be fair. I won an SRC, of course, which probably going to give me a little boost. And is it next week? I don't know. Anyway, I'm feeling quite confident, especially in qualifying. I have really good pace. Just need to find that extra bit of race pace, which I always find hard. I don't know why, but I think I can get some solid points, maybe even win. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, congratulations on securing the final podium of this race today, and P3 goes your way. We'll look forward to seeing you at Spa. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Miles, another excellent broadcast. I think we enjoyed that one. Lots of spectacular moments. Silverstone never disappoints. But I got to say, some great racing. Driver of the day, certainly for me, was Limitless, and obviously yourself. Where would you absolutely place your money on? Because I know you went for Keaton Lutt, didn't you? I
did, yeah, and I would go for him. I mean, he's in the best form at the moment. I mean, 4.5 seconds or 5 seconds even was the gap at the end. So I would go for him every single time. Here today it was just a superb drive. So hats off to his drive today. Absolutely, it was absolutely special to watch, and I've got to say, it tees up an excellent championship because, of course, Antoine finished outside the points. Therefore, that means now the championship battle gets extraordinarily close. Just want to say as well, folks, we have had an absolutely cracking stream today. We were looking to hit our 500 subscribers today, and we did. We hit it, and I've got to say a massive thank you to everybody who's been tuning into WOR recently. It's been absolutely brilliant. Everyone who's literally committed, joined in. Big thank you to the team behind the scenes as well. Everyone, the huge bodies that put this whole league together, and they deserve every bit of credit for all their hard work. And yourself, the viewers, deserve every bit of credit as well. We're all a community at the end of the day, and that is what fills and drives certainly the esports league racing scene onward. So you all deserve a massive pat on the back. Huge congratulations. And let's go and hit 1,000 next, shall we, all together. But Miles, obviously, lots of racing to come up. Obviously, I think we've got a break next week. Then we're heading to Spa. What are your thoughts as we head to Belgium? I mean, I can only second what all the others said. One of the drivers' favorites, and I'm just looking forward to it. I mean, Silverstone was great. France was great. So, I mean, Belgium always delivers. So, like you said with Silverstone, but just really looking forward to it and can't wait. I mean, we have that break week, maybe just a bit of a breather for everyone, but then everyone will be back on their best form for Belgium, and I can't wait for it. No, it's going to be absolutely special. And folks, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in. Today, it was Keaton Lutz who picked his second win on the day, but we're going to head to Spa. We'll race again. We'll see you next